What's good, folks? Welcome to another edition of the Cover One Film Room, the show that gives you the hows and the whys behind both the good and the bad of the Buffalo Bills. I am one of your two hosts, Anthony Prohaska, joined as always by Eric Turner. And
Yes.
Eric, the weather's still kind of nice out.
It
The Bills
is.
are 2-0. We got to see some fun things on the offensive side of the ball, and defensive side of the ball in week 2 was a much more comfortable, relaxing type of game as opposed to the chaos of week 1, although very fun. And we're thankful for the wins, but a lot more of a calming presence in week 2 against the Jets. We, of course, are here to break down multiple aspects from both sides of the ball with the Buffalo Bills week 2 victory against the New York Jets. But Eric, before we dive into that, as always, how you doing? How you feeling? How's it going?
Good, man. And of course, like you said, nice weather, nice, comfortable win, 30-10 win for the Bills over the Jets. And I don't know, I've been waiting way too long to eventually get to this film and start talking about it, especially considering that the Bills have a Thursday night game. And obviously,
we were trying to monkey with our schedule,
I
but we couldn't like fit it in. And you were like, "Oh, I have this." I was like, "I don't have that," but I can do this. And you were like, "I can't do that." We're like, "Okay, great."
So we were trying to go live earlier in the week, and it just didn't work out for our schedules. So even with the game tomorrow, we're not going to look too much into that until the end of this show for a couple minutes, but we obviously can't look forward until we rewind and watch the game against the Jets. And both sides of the ball, both coordinators, I thought, did a great job. I loved both game plans. On defense, they were aggressive. They dictated. It had a little of that like McDermott touch of aggressiveness and blitzing. And then on offense, I thought the offensive line and the run game controlled the line of scrimmage. They took care of the ball, and they rode their weapon, James Cook, and the offensive line as well.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there. This was a fun watch back on the tape because I came away from the broadcast thinking, or kind of like hopeful in my thinking. Like from what I saw, I was like, "Oh, I think they did some of this in that game, and I think they did some of this, and I hope the tape shows that." And then we got into the tape, and it was, kind of spamming offensive concepts that work for them, like Brady has done in the past, but which was nice. Seeing the O-line get displacement, more good tight end work, a lot of really good movement from Spencer Brown and Osiris Torrance, particularly against Quinnen Williams, who not even, no exaggeration. Quinnen Williams, even in the games where the Bills win, like always gives the Bills problems inside, whether he's doubled, singled, it doesn't matter. And Brown and Torrance were blowing him off the ball on multiple runs. And so it was nice to see the movement they had there, especially in a game where Allen breaks his nose, maybe is compromised a little bit for how he's feeling, seeing the game. And then on the defensive side, really rewarding watch back on film. There was some creative coverage spins that I just didn't. Yeah, that I'm just super into that now. It's part of the reason why I gravitate towards what the Packers defense is doing and the Cardinals defense is doing. All these cool ways of how they weaponize certain guys, lean into body types with the creative coverage spins. The Bills were doing some of that in this game, and it was cool to see on top of a nice, comfortable win and some really standout individual performances. Yeah, this was I feel like somebody's like, of course it was a fun watch. They won 30-10 and they put the backups in at the end. It was really 30-3. But yeah, this was, I think, a fun tape watch schematically on both sides.
I like what you said. It was creative, and it's something that we talked about all off season. And we're seeing again, I don't want to give all the credit to Nielsen, but it's different. It's different through 2 games.
Every time there's something different, I'm like, Nielsen, we can't keep doing this.
They did the 6-1 flex front last week. You saw some 3-3-5 stuff this week.
Yeah.
And
some underfront stuff.
Some underfront stuff.
The 2 wide to the strength. Like what?
Yeah. So they were creative. I thought they attacked. They didn't let plays from the offense dictate the game. They attacked the run game. I mean, we're going to break it down. We're going to have Babich, come in here with a clip from the press conference talking about what a run blitz is. Great question from Sal at the press conference this week. I just thought their creativity when it came to the run blitzes, which if you guys don't realize, we're going to break down what run blitzes are and what they look like and what the Bills use. But you have to really be on your game when you're calling these, because one wrong move by a defender that is rushing the running back can open up an explosive run. And there's a lot of tendencies that in film watching, and I'm sure, data crunching that goes on to figure out, oh, this is a typical down and distance. They like to run weak side zone. Let's blitz that weak side corner into that to blow it up, as we'll show. There's a lot of tendency stuff that goes into that film and data. And so we're going to show you why that matters. And I thought, aside from the run blitzes, they did some really cool stuff up front with load fronts, 5-man surfaces, kind of like the old Cub front we talked about. They played with Justin Fields and that offensive line where they showed those pressures and they dropped out, where they showed those pressures and they ran 3-man games. You know, they show those pressures, they run a 3-man rush and you're getting Joey Bosa at the quarterback. So yes, defense, it was creative. And again, it started without some of those blitzes. It started there, especially those run blitzes.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, even for as awesome as Bosa was coming forward, like he dropped into the hook at one point as they ran like a simulated pressure, kind of got lost out there a little bit, which is understandable.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like a variety of some drop 8 stuff and changing the rush paths and angles and the games and everything that you said. And I really thought it was a good way to, from both a run defense standpoint with the blitzes and from their alignments in their front when it came to known passing down in distances and situations. You know, the word that you said, and I thought it was so important, it just really felt like the Bills were dictating to the Jets offense for the entirety of the game. Like whatever they were doing on early downs, late downs, early in the game, late in the fourth quarter, you could tell they were kind of taking it to them with when they called what they called and how they executed it. It was just a really well choreographed game for a defense that struggled a little bit, you know, coming out of Baltimore. And there were, you know, it was understandable with how the Jets moved the ball against the, you know, quote unquote good Pittsburgh defense in week 1. It was like, man, they're going to try and run it at him again. Ed Oliver's out. Like he was so good week 1. What's going to happen? And the Bills came out and just spun that narrative completely on its head right from the jump in this game.
Yeah. And so we have a couple clips here. We're going to start with the Babich clip. And I want to give, again, credit to Sal. He and I collaborated on this when it came to Turf to Tape. It's a show that obviously he and I record. We collaborated on this when it came to some of these questions and showing what it looks like with the film on social media. But great question here. He asked him straight up. He asked Babich, what is a run blitz? Plain and simple. And this was Babich's explanation.
A run blitz is more designed structurally to defend the run and add bodies into the run. You know, you try to design them the best to where you're adding them in to where you want to add them in based on the scheme you're going against. Difference is like when you talk about pass blitzes, you're trying to beat protections. Where are you trying to add extra bodies into the run? How are you trying to beat protection?
I love that distinction. It's so like the clarity behind what he said is just so, like you said, succinct. It's just on point. And you saw the Bills execute these run blitzes. And this is nothing new. We're not saying like this is new. This is just in this game, they ran a ton of them and they were successful. And it was really important to make Justin Fields and that offense basically play left-handed.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And I feel like we haven't talked this much about run blitzes since what was one of the Bills Patriots games years ago against Mac Jones.
Yeah. And then that one, and then I also went because I thought the same thing. See, we're on the point here. There was that game, and then the highest run blitz game I ever charted was against the Jets in 2022. 17 run blitzes. Again, sometimes you call a run blitz and the team passes, and it's just a regular blitz.
Yeah.
And so when you see stats like who posted it today about the blitz rate right now is the 6th highest blitz rate. One of our guys on social said that, hey, the Bills are right now currently 6th in blitz rate. Well, sometimes you're calling these run blitzes to stop the Jets and the Ravens, and they pass it, and that's why your blitz rate is also elevated.
And that's what I remember us talking about so much with that Pats game, because it was like, whoa, the Bills like are really blitzing Mac Jones. It's like, no, they're blitzing the run, and it just happens to be a pass, but it still gets charted as a blitz. And so when you look at the percentage, it's like, wow, they're really blitzing. It's like, yeah, but they're not blitzing the pass, they're blitzing the run. And yeah, that's a really great distinction from Babich and how it kind of ties into what the aim is for a pass blitz, what it is for a run blitz. And yeah, it was cool to see how much they called him in this game, especially on early downs, but just how effective they were. It felt like when they called it, it really worked, starting right out from this double corner blitz here. Just watching the front dive inside and then just an awesome read from Benford. This is so good.
Right. Benford and Trey White coming off the edges here. And yeah, I do agree, Cecil. Jets called a horrible game plan, though. No respect for Field as a passer. I mean, again, the Bills also forced them into these type of things, right? Yeah, they're not even worried about the outside receivers at all on this play. You can see as those corners come, they're not really worried, behind them, like, hey, is a corner covering over the top? Does the safety replace them? They're not even really worried about it. And luckily, this is some great awareness on the corner blitz, on this run blitz by Benford, because this, if he doesn't recognize this as the DN's pinch inside, if he doesn't recognize this, watch his helmet where he's looking. He's looking at this defender, offensive, I think it's a tight end, right? Tight end right there. He's coming down. He's watching him, but then he's getting his eyes into the backfield, and he recognizes that this guy's kind of wheeling around, and then he goes ahead and gets up the field to make the tackle on that little end around a wide receiver reverse. Very good awareness by Benford, but this could have been very ugly if he doesn't recognize this and make this tackle.
Yeah, we're on the same page. That's like, I think what's cool to tie into some of what Babich talked about and what we've talked about in the show before with run blitzes and blitzes in general, right? There is that risk reward nature of it where you can call it, and when it works, it's beautiful, and you get what I think is like a 10-yard loss on this play. But if it doesn't work, the sideline angle is great. If he misses that tackle, this is actually blocked really well. Like, this is set. You've got a hat on a hat at the second level, and then you've got two more like Jets blockers looking for someone else to pick up, and there's only one more Bills defender deep. This is heavy numbers and space advantage and angles advantage for the Jets. And that, again, ties into that nature. Like, you can call a run blitz or any blitz, but in this instance, we're talking about the run. You can call a run blitz at the right time, but if they run the wrong type of run, or they run in a different direction, or one person is out on their assignment or their fit, all of a sudden it goes from like, oh, a nice toxic differential negative play created to, oh, is this a 20-yard gain? Is this out the front door? And we have no shot of stopping this. But, just like that was so cool about this game. It felt like when they called them, it was the right time, the right execution. It just seemed, again, like they were just really playing on the front foot in terms of what they were calling and when.
Here's one of the tackle for losses here by Trey White, bottom of the screen. Another cornerback run blitz. So he's obviously coming off the edge right here. And as I've diagrammed before, you're seeing these kind of D ends and D tackles kind of slant inside. They slant across the face to disrupt that zone blocking. And so Trey White, as Babich said, he is that +1. They can't account for him when he's diving inside like that. There's no one to block him, and he blows this play up. And why is that? Because, again, they have to figure out, hey, what type of play are they running? They're running weak side zone here. Everyone along the offensive line are zone stepping or zone blocking from right to left on the screen. And so when you do that and you're running a cornerback or a run blitz on defense, you want to go against the grain. You want to disrupt that harmony of going to the left side there. And so that's why you see the D ends and D tackles slant inside across the face, kind of against the grain right there. And then you have that free guy coming off the edge at the point of attack, like Babich said, and Trey White to make the tackle.
Yeah, and this works out perfectly. You've got Bosa aligned outside the tackle initially. It's like, okay, does he have that C gap responsibility? But he dives into the B, as you have highlighted there. And then Trey essentially replaces him as that C gap defender. The blocking, as you talked about, gets gummed up because they're zone stepping to the left, but all of a sudden they have to account for guys slanting and stunting inside of them. Bosa does a good job ripping through for Shanu here and just being present there. And now Trey is unblocked, and Trey ends up making the tackle, which is great, from an individual standpoint, but even schematically, Trey just cuts off that entire space there to the boundary. Brees tries to spin out of it, but if he tries to plant his foot and go back inside, Bosa's right there. They've just gummed up everything completely for this short side run here. And it's a great call. It's why teams like kind of leaning into these corner blitzes from the sideline, Steve Spagnuolo, things like that. Good times, good memories. But this was a nice one. And who knew, Trey came to play the run today, which is very nice to see.
Yeah, it was great scheme, and the personnel really working out here. Dylan says, I've been a Benford fan since he played with the cast. I love the number 47 on a bigger, stronger cornerback, and he was a steal. P.S. number 8 on Bernard will never, ever, ever, ever be okay.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm still like adjusting to the 8, and it does throw me from time to time. I respect, he told us on the show why he did it. He's a Kobe Bryant guy.
Yes,
I still don't like it, but I'm with you, Dylan. But
that's fair, Dylan. That's very fair, very fair point.
The 47 is cool on Benford because I feel like that's not a regular corner number, and usually if someone's getting that, you're like, oh, that guy's like low on the depth chart. He's probably not making the team. And Benford, maybe that's what it was going to be.
Late round draft pick for undrafted. Yeah.
And he's like, no, I'm owning it. I love that he didn't switch up to like a prime corner number. He's like, no, I'm sticking with 47. Like, I like it. Push the envelope.
All right. Another one here. Trey White, top of the screen. Another run blitz from him off the edge to the short side of the field. And again, that importance of timing and understanding when that play will come. And now he doesn't make the tackle here, but look at what it does up front. So you have him coming off the edge. And again, you're having these guys slant across the face of this zone blocking. All right. But look what it does for Bernard. It makes things so much easier for him to see and to play downhill, right? You see him decipher where that running back is going to hit that rush lane. And then he's able to get down the field, get down hill and make the tackle. Here's the back call because they're bringing a tight end across the formation. So what does that do, Anthony? It changes gaps, right? So they're executing that back call. That's why you see him pointing. And then as soon as he does that, he can come downhill. He's reading off of the guys in front of him and Daquan Jones and Bosa, and he just makes a play. These run blitzes, well, yes, they're inserting corners and they're inserting linebackers at times on these run blitzes. We saw it last week with Milano or Dorian Williams as well. It's not always going to be those guys making the play. You know, the running back does a good job of avoiding some of that disruption and they get a nice little alley. But because of that disruption up front, now your linebackers can play quicker off of, you know, those blocks that are now moving in space. And that allowed Bernard to have a much better game than he did against the Ravens.
Yeah, and it's so important for a team like the Bills with how they've built their front on the D line and just the whole like box in general with what they are at the second level. They are a smaller, penetrating, faster type of group. So it's not going to be let's anchor down and take up space and eat blockers and eat bodies. It is attacking those gaps. It's trying to confuse the blocking scheme and just muddy things up and keeping those guys at the second level free, or at least creating enough of an advantageous angle that they can shoot through and make a play. And you see Fashanu there, he tries to climb to Bernard and kind of stops his feet a little bit there, but Bernard is able to kind of see how this thing develops. He's able to shoot right through. Brees is kind of locked in and hemmed in because of the run blitz and how everybody's attacking. You've got Benford fitting and filling from his outside corner spot. It's just everybody converging on the ball, and it starts with those initial kind of paths or stems from the defensive line right on the snap. And the guys on the defensive line on our right side from the vantage point here, Bosa and Daquan, are able to shoot like that because you've got Trey coming down and playing that outside gap and changing the math a little bit.
And to stop a running back like a Derrick Henry or a Breece Hall or Braylon Allen, you stop them. Don't let them get going, right? We talked about that. Don't let Derrick Henry see that runway. And this is, again, all of this slanting. It really disrupted the running back trying to read on these type of zone runs, split zone runs. It slows them up a little bit, keeps them behind the line of scrimmage. And then you have your second level defenders playing downhill. You didn't let the running back get going, which they did much better this week versus last week against the Ravens.
Yeah, there were a couple ones in this one where, you know, some guys got displaced and Brees was able to hit some creases. But to your point, they really got him for the most part, muddied things up, didn't allow him to get started. And that was a huge piece of not only the Ravens game against the Bills in week 1, but the Jets game against the Steelers. They were able to kind of create some displacement, and Brees would hit I heard this in my head and it rhymed and I didn't mean to. Brees would hit a crease, and he's fast, man. He's got movement. Like the run game got good movement in week 1. Tippmann and Myers and Simpson on the inside. Membao and Fashanu were too good. Yeah. They had a good week, and you wouldn't know that they had such a good week 1. Again, against like TJ Watt is sick. Alex Highsmith is good. And then you've got like Cam Hayward on the inside. They've got some dudes who can kind of create some problems. So it wasn't like they were going up against nobodies.
Right.
It would have been understandable if they moved the ball a little bit against the Bills, but to Babich's credit and the defense's credit, maybe they knew that a little bit. It's like, okay, so let's change the math. Let's change the angles, gum things up, and their ability to just generate free bodies and free runners against the run while also simultaneously kind of stealing or canceling gaps and mucking everything up. It was nice to see, but again, it was important for a team that wants to run the ball and does have the ability to run the football in positive ways.
No doubt. So let's talk about some of the pass game stuff. Let's talk about the multiple defensive structures. Let's talk about the creativity, the games, and of course, Joey Bosa. I thought the defense was prepared. They communicated really well, and they got into their looks, unlike last week where they were kind of, you know, hemming and hawing in their disguise. They got in there. You saw a lot more decisiveness. We're going to show a couple of those clips from the game, but I thought Babich had some very good answers for that pass game, especially in those critical downs when they wanted to go to Garrett Wilson. I thought they did some really cool stuff. Again, some creative stuff, spinning coverages, but also some, sleight of hand stuff. Okay, hey, this is just like a two-man coverage here.
The trap.
Man coverage. And then you're seeing that corner trap, Benford trap, as we'll show here in a couple of plays. But they were awesome when it came to defending the pass game, not just on the back end, but also from a pass rush standpoint. They were, like Babich said in his presser, they played a lot more connected when you're talking the rush and coverage, and that's what we're going to show here in a couple minutes.
Yeah, the connected is a really good way to put it, and not just because we've talked about that for so many years.
Marriage. I like connected. That's a new one, like connectivity instead of, marrying the rush and coverage. Connectivity. That's a nice one. I like that, Babich.
That's a good one. And he, I think he said it in it was shown in week 1 of Hard Knocks, or episode 1 of Hard Knocks, maybe episode 2. What kind of right before he talked about like getting the ball back to 17, like he talked about that connection between rush and coverage. And it's, again, an important thing. And you see how it can pay dividends and pay off. And yeah, I don't have too much to add. I liked a lot of what they did. It wasn't just their typical, oh, we're going to show single high and it's actually going to be 2, or we're showing 2 high pre-snap, but psych, it's cover 3. It was no, like Christian Benford's a deep half player, or Dorian Strong's a deep half player, and Cam Lewis is your nickel. But guess what? He's the cloud on this one. And we're spinning Bishop down into the hook, and we're still going to run, cover 2, but he's down in the hook instead of being one of the split field guys. And then everything from the front perspective and the dictation, I was really pleased with it. And I'm hoping just this continues. I think they need more of this. I think this is so important in today's NFL, and then should in theory get even better once you have Michael Hoyt because of how he can play. Just really exciting for not only how they executed in this game, but what it could potentially mean going forward. Because again, I do think this type of identity or tweaks or philosophy is needed.
So this is what he means by connected, and that connectivity between the rush and coverage and how prepared they were. Now, this is a strip sack from Joey Bosa, but he's not the reason why early in this play things didn't work out. So let's look at it from the top here. The communication. Here comes Cole Bishop. You see him run down there, and then they see that tight end in that offline position. Usually teams want to run that slide route. And what do you think's coming? That slide route from that tight end across the formation. So they were keyed into that as well, especially with the quarterback under center. But then look at the rotation. So that slide route right there, it's taken away. So tight end's coming across. That's taken away by Dorian Williams. So that first option is out. You're having the wide receiver to the top or in the corner, and then you got the crossing route from the backside. Look at the beautiful rotation. First, you're getting the corner down here, getting to the deep post, and you have the safety cutting down that crosser, cutting this crossing route right here. You got a robot, what we call a robot, turn and find that threat by Bernard in behind him. So that 3-level like bootleg passing concept is taken away. Every option is taken away, which is why Justin Fields ends up tucking it here. Some very good contain work by AJ Epinesa, forcing him back inside. Bosa stays in the play and punches it out. Again, coverage, helping the rush on this play, creating the turnover, and getting the ball back for Josh Allen.
Yeah, this was one of my favorite plays in the entire game, and it wasn't just because of, an awesome punch out by Bosa, right? Like see ball, get ball. He's lining this up and kind of loading up that arm and that punch as soon as he sees Fields have to cut it back. But it really was the coverage. Like you said, it starts with Dorian Williams. Great job from Dorian Williams, like not getting caught with eyes too much in the backfield. He sees Mason Taylor come across on the slide route, immediately picks him up, sticks to him. And then what I like, Taylor kind of tries to shoot behind him. So Dorian just kind of speed turns, like baseball turns a little bit, eyes him, sees him, picks him up. Great action on Garrett Wilson. You get the slice from Rapp. Bernard is underneath with the robot, so he's canceled. Trey has canceled Johnson up top. Benford replaced Rapp in the post, like he called out just in case, something develops that way. The other, the running back is canceled out of the backfield by Bishop and even by Logue, who's out there too, or Walker, who's out there. Sometimes I can't tell it is Logue. Oh, Logue. I was going to tell that him and Walker both wear the arm sleeves. I think guys shouldn't be allowed to wear the same aesthetic or look the same because it's hard to tell at times. So everybody's canceled. And then Epinesa plays with urgency, but under control, forces Fields back, Bosa punch out. That's just, there's so many. This is one of those like plays when you like tweet it out. If you're trying to get in the character limit, it's hard because there's so many things to call out and talk about, but
it's
you
poetry.
can't. Yeah, it really is. Like
so many things going good.
And it's just so well done.
Yeah, great stuff. Again, forcing Fields back into the the teeth of the defense. Milano's there, Bosa's there to strip him, and Epinesa recovers it. Great work by the defense. Prepared. They communicated. Obviously, the film work was there. They understood how the Jets wanted to attack them on those bootlegs, and they took that 3-level passing concept away. Here's a 3rd and 10 situation. Again, very prepared 5-man surface along the D line for the Bills, and you're going to see them go ahead and cover everyone down. Now, was this guy open initially? Yes. You see Trey White calling out the crosser. He gets the cut, the slice from depth. That guy is open, but because of the pressure, Justin Fields can't get it to him. But look at the top of the screen. Essentially, they're playing 2-man. All right. You got a safety up high. You got inside leverage on the receivers by both corners, and they're man turning. They're turning and running with those wide receivers, right? Wrong. That is until you get this out call from Cam Lewis on who is covering Garrett Wilson. Now, this is something that I always talk about this when I see this man trap. I used to see this from Aaron Williams when he was at corner for the Bills years ago. He did this so often. And so Cam Lewis, what he's doing, everyone knows is alert to where Wilson is. They know they're playing man coverage. Now, if an out pattern is run by Wilson because Cam Lewis is inside here, leverage inside, he has to call an out call. And guess who's getting that out call? Christian Benford to the top of the screen. He is letting his guy go. He's trapping number 2, Garrett Wilson. Cole Bishop, this deep safety, replaces him over the top. That's exactly what happens. But again, rushing coverage. Look at the quarterback. Who's in Justin Fields' face? Joey Bosa, all set up from the defensive front, that defensive structure, that creativity up front from Ryan Nielsen. I mean, Bobby Babich. Talk about it, man. 3-3-5 here. Talk about this. It's beautiful.
It's so nice. And they did so much of this, from just an overall like count perspective up front. So you've got the center covered up, 5 showing on the line. So you're creating man-on-man protection for the offensive line, or that 5-0 type protection. Everybody on a body, 74 is on the edge, Simpson's on Dorian, the center's on Daquan, Tittman on Bernard, and then Membao on Joey Bosa. So you've created one-on-ones. You're kind of dictating that matchup. And then as we go forward, kind of look at what is happening. Yep, that linebacker show blitz. You see where Dorian is looking. You see where Bernard is looking. They're both showing rush, but you've got a spy in Dorian Williams, and then you've got Bernard man-to-man on the running back. So Bernard right now is showing like, oh, I'm rushing, I'm coming, here we go, I'm going through that B gap. As he starts to see that running back release, slams on the brakes a little bit. He sees, he's actually going out, so let me stop and pick up the running back. Bosa is still one-on-one, so he shoots inside Membao. Tittman, number 66, is responsible for Bernard, so he's only paying attention to him, and then Daquan kind of ear holes him and takes up him and the center. And then you still got Dorian backside who's spying Fields. So you've got all this action happening up front that starts from an alignment perspective and dictation and post-snap execution. And then on the back end, a really well-coordinated dance between Cam Lewis and Benford and Bishop over the top. Like, there's so many things happening on each level, and it's all one giant coordinated dance. And you need to play this way in today's NFL. And this is a huge thing that they are executing this way in the front and on the back end, but more importantly, calling these looks and installing these looks and operating with this mentality and this mindset. And then it's nice to have a guy on the outside who can just essentially dust a right tackle and ghost him and make him fall down.
And Bosa, and we'll show, like, he loves that hezzy rush, that little hezzy he shows there, and then he usually just goes right to power on the tackles. Well, here he uses that hezzy rush, and that guy's like, okay, I got a brace for power. Oh, and now you get a speed move club inside, and like I said, there's creativity in the defensive front. There's creativity in coverage. To the bottom, they're kind of pattern matching. They're not having Trey in man coverage run with that crosser. He's passing it on to the deep safety. So you get kind of that pattern matching coverage going on. But you also have, again, kind of like a 2-man look up top, so there's a little man coverage element to it. There's some trap element to it on top of the 5-man surface, on top of what they did to get to dictate and attack the protection Man, this is a loaded play. It's, again, one of those plays that you have to take a moment to tip your hat to Bob Babich and this defense, because from top to bottom, from the scouting to the preparation to what the call was on the field versus this offensive look in that down and distance with that personnel, man, it was on point. It was on point, and they were prepared from top to bottom, prepared much like this play. 2nd and 10, another 3-3-5 look. This time a 5-man rush. They're showing the same type of thing up front. 5 men right on the line of scrimmage. And you're going to see how they kind of scheme this one up. It's something we talked about. You see them playing the sticks on 2nd and 10, kind of zoning it off. And that pressure up front was just too much. You got a free runner in Bernard. You got Bosa coming off the edge, and it leads to an errant pass. So 5-man surface again. You have that odd front look. You have the D tackle right over the center. Again, usually these type of looks get that 5-man protection. So what the Bills are doing are saying, we're going to attack the 3 interior offensive linemen, the center and both guards. So they're going to slice and crash the D tackle and Dorian Williams, and then you're going to wait for the looper, and that looper is Terrell Bernard, as you see right there. And he hits that edge very tight, does a good job of getting into that gap and getting into the face of the quarterback, Justin Fields. Again, you got Bosa coming with power on this one, compressing that pocket and really getting right into the lap of Justin Fields. Him and Bernard are right there so quickly that Justin Fields can't really step up into this throw. He leaves it high, and it goes incomplete.
Yeah, and this one is, I'll get out in front of this just in case someone's like, oh, but that guy, was wide open. What are they doing? This is towards the end of the second quarter. It's like 22 or 26 seconds left. So they're playing the sticks. If it gets completed, they come up, they rally, they tackle. Yeah, they're playing the situation, playing the down and distance. But to your point, that pressure happens quickly. Even if Fields spits this ball out right now to Mason Taylor, maybe he gets like the 45, maybe the 40 tops, but you're still kind of playing the situation. But the defenses, they're playing right zone. Too. Exactly. Their eyes are playing through to Fields. They're waiting for that type of throw to come out. Exactly. They are ready to kind of pounce on that underneath throw, but Fields sails it because he gets pressured. And yeah, I want to point that out in case anyone was like, he's wide open, whatever. But yeah, I don't have too much to add for the front. Another 5-0, man on man. The Bills game it up. Essentially, Daquan and Dorian occupy 3 dudes on the interior, which keeps Bernard nice and clean. And then, you just got Bosa prying open that right side of Membao, kind of like playing through him. And it's what's nice on that one too. Like Bosa feigns really quick, like he's about to go outside. Yep. He stabs with that right foot. Yep. And then okay, here comes the upfield rush. Bang. He gets right into Membao's chest before Membao can get his hands there. His hands are on the outside of Bosa. He's got no control, no leverage. Bosa has those 3 points of contact with both hands and his face right into Membao's face. And then it's just cool, power, pry, rip, bear down. Bernard's coming clean. Oh, just really nice. I feel like so much of that is going to get this. I was excited for this one too, because so much of it is like, man, Bosa had a great game. And it's true. But on a lot of the Bosa pressures, there was all this other cool stuff that was happening that needed to be acknowledged.
Yeah, here's a load front, and we learned about this from Michael Hoyt when he came over, and we studied the Rams film. 3rd and 10 situation here. We're in the 4th quarter now, where the load front is where they kind of set up 3 defensive linemen to one side of the center. And on the back end, again, man, this is that play you were alluding to earlier.
Yes,
where they look, they're kind of late lining up, but then look how they have the 2 high safeties, right? And Bishop and Rapp. And then just look where those guys finish. You see Bishop come down. He becomes the wall player right here. Bernard is that pole runner down the middle of the field. Here's your other wall defender. The corner, Benford, is the deep half safety post snap here. Or is it Dorian Strong there? I'm sorry.
No, that's Benford there. Strong is up top.
So there it is. There's
another one where Strong drops as that deep half corner.
Right.
So it's just to speak to how much they do it.
So again, that harmony between the rush and coverage, and it was just so good to see. And there's nothing there. And look already, look who's right at the doorstep of Fields on this play as he's about to release it. And it's the Bills again, good coverage, but attacking protections and getting the matchups that they want on the front end when it comes to rushing the passer here. So look at, again, that load front. You got 3 guys on the right side of your screen, including Javon Solomon, where the wrinkle with him this week was kind of using him as a quasi defensive tackle, using him as a looper on some of these 3-man games, which he almost had Fields as a looper, but Fields jumped out of the pocket because Bosa lost contain a little bit, and that's when he had that big rush. But here's that load front, 3 to the right, single Epinesa off here on the left side of the screen. And that right there is getting Bosa a one-on-one. And I will say, I think Bosa got a little help from Solomon as well. Because, okay, so they're sliding these 5 guys from right to left on the screen. Normally, what the opposing offense will do is bring this guy, and he'll be usually inside leverage for the tight end. He's going to get outside leverage on usually the best pass rusher. But they're not usually having a guy right here. There's usually not a defensive rusher right here. Normally, there's some kind of game going on, leaving this guy, Bosa, on his own. But because of the attack and line of Solomon, the running back steps up and picks up that edge instead of the inner edge of the tight end. So I think that aggressiveness by Solomon and line actually helped Bosa get that one-on-one. Bosa, like you said in that video that's going around viral, they put a tight end on me, and he beat that tight end and laid right into Justin Fields there for the big hit and strip sack.
Yeah, he absolutely crushed Fields. Yeah, nice little chop of the wrist there, cross chop action from Bosa. Taylor reaches out with that right. Oh, it's perfect for Bosa. You can see that hand just get right on the wrist, chops it down, pulls himself through, and then immediately speeds up through the apex, through the turn of the arc right there, flattens right down the line. And then I like the finish too. You can see him again with that right arm. He's not just going for the sack. He's using that right arm to play right across the hands of Fields, right across the ball. Awesome screenshot or freeze frame right there, I should say, where you can see him reaching out. He's trying to put his hand right through, or his arm right through the ball, right through Fields' hands, which he does, and just, crushes him. Ball comes right out. But again, that happens because of the front structure and what they did, the individual execution within it. And then look at Fields. He's holding on to that ball. Why? Where he's looking, Cole Bishop is lowering into that hook. And so Fields is looking at this like, okay, I don't have anybody open because guys are dropping. Instead of, Bishop, that type of player being like a linebacker and sinking into that hook or as that wall defender, Bishop's playing it from top down. So it changes the angle. It changes what routes you think might be available for the quarterback. And there's nothing there in that screenshot as you highlighted. You got the cloud corner underneath Cam Lewis, who was the apex. He's dropping now to the cloud. Like, where do you go right now if you're Fields? Or even before that? You don't. The picture's muddy. As you're trying to de-muddy it and clear it, Bosa's working through your tight end and transitioning right from that chop to a flattening and crushing you. Yeah, it's just, again, like we've highlighted stuff at times, right? Like where guys are winning up front, but the coverage picture didn't do anything on the back end, so the quarterbacks are able to spit it out really fast. We've talked about the underneath game and quick game killing this defense, and this is, a little longer down in distance later in the game, so you're trying to take a shot, but you play that instead of having someone sink or drop into that hook. You bring someone from top down and lower into it. It's all just changing the picture, and you're just trying. Everything is all just, we said so much, trying to change the pre to post snap picture, add some beats to the quarterback. Instead of being able to throw the ball in 2.5 seconds, maybe get him to 2.65 or 2.75 or maybe 3. Give your guys an extra quarter of a second or a half a second. And when you've got guys like Joey Bosa, who when healthy are still really productive, these things, what are we not saying? We're not saying marriage. They connect. They connect.
Yeah,
they connect. Oh, this is really nice from Jennifer. This is an awesome comment.
She says, y'all are my favorite Bills info channel. Love these film breakdowns by Erik and Ant. Go Bills. So go Bills. Thank you for joining us, Jennifer, and everyone else live. But hey, again, if you can't watch it all in one sitting, we get it. We get it. We're trying to rip this in one setting. It's been difficult this week with the short week and all. But if you want to listen to us, we're obviously available on all audio platforms as well. Jennifer, thank you for that comment. So
thank you.
With that said, great stuff. Defense, connectivity, creativity, multiple fronts, run blitzes. It was aggressive. It was fun to watch. And it's to the point where like, I still want to go back and watch individual players in some of those roles of creativity, because like you said, when they get Michael Hoyt back, imagine what they can do with a guy like that, or Ogunjobi at depth. It'll be fun. So Let's flip the script. Let's go to the offense. You know, a lot of the talk this week was how Joe Brady is not afraid to spam. And this is nothing new as well. Again, it's not anything new from him. He routinely will call the same exact play back to back. And he did it multiple times, multiple layers. In this game.
With multiple times, multiple concepts. Usually it's like, okay, we're playing Dallas and we're going to run, tackle pull stuff a million times. Or I forget what game it was and who we had on the show when we talked about it, when they ran duo just like over and over and over again. Or they'll just spam like, mid-zone weak.
Mid-zone.
Yeah, but this time it was like multiple concepts at multiple times. It was cool to just, and again, like you said, it's nothing new, but the little wrinkle in this one was multiple concepts at multiple times. And yeah, we've said it so much on the show, like, it's not broken, don't fix it, and go and attack and force them to adjust to you. And another example, like we just talked about the defense, kind of playing on the front foot, dictating. You're kind of doing that offensively. You're playing on the front foot. Hey, we got this thing that's working. Oh, you can't stop it. Show me you can stop it. Because if not, and that's just also like, you keep it simple, stupid type of deal. Like, why move? If this thing is working, it's so easy for us to just keep getting in the huddle and calling the same thing, make the defense earn your ability to kind of move off from that.
It reminds me of a few years ago when the Bills played the Colts and the Colts were spamming the tight ends on drive concepts, on mesh concepts, on these crossing routes. And after that, I think it was a playoff game. I brought Jordan Poyer on. And I was like, what was up with that? He's like, we didn't have time to adjust. It was within the same drive. They're running the same exact play over and over again. We didn't have time to change a coverage or change, anything up front to stop those concepts. And so it made so much sense when Brady was asked this by Sal at the presser, because it's a lot more difficult to make adjustments and change something when it's the very next play or within the same drive. And those players aren't coming to the sidelines to sit there in front of a whiteboard while the coach explains, okay, this is what we're going to do against this concept. And Brady, like I said, I've never seen him do it this often with multiple concepts in one game. So Sal, once again, asked about it. What is with you spamming plays and running the same play back to back, which we saw in this game 4 times in a row until they stop it. And it makes sense when he talks about it. So listen in.
It looked like a sequence where the same play twice in a row. Take me into that. Is that like, hey, it's working, let's go? Is it something you philosophically think, hey, this is something going into a game you might want to lean on a little bit?
I'm not always going to repeat plays, but there's nothing wrong with repeating plays, right? If it's not broken, you don't have to fix it. If we don't feel like there's an adjustment being made, let's make them make the adjustments in drive. Why wait till we get to the sideline to come back to the play? Let's stay with it. And so I try to pride myself on trying to come back to it. And sometimes it's coming back to it the next play.
If it's not broken, don't fix it, right? I mean, it makes so much sense, doesn't it, Ant?
Yeah, it's so funny, like when you like hear it or see it and you're like, well, yeah, like that makes sense if they can't stop it. And if it's not broken, like, don't fix it. And I think that served Brady so well we've seen him from a pass standpoint and from a run standpoint. Like, we know the concepts that they kind of hang their hat on.
Sure.
And he'll dress them up differently and find different ways to get to them. But it's just nice to see him not, I don't want to do the whole Dorsey Brady juxtaposition because it's happened so much. And I think a lot of it has gotten really extreme. But a lot of Dorsey's thing was so like, you got to think and you got to read and react. And if everyone's on the same page, it works great. But if not, there's opportunities where you're vulnerable. And it seems like Brady is just like, no, this is working. Like, why? We're not trying to get too cute. We're not trying to get too sophisticated. And I'm not saying that means, this is an easy offense to learn or dumb down, but it's just really straightforward. Like, hey, we're doing A and A's working. We're going to keep doing that. Oh, they adjusted. Let's do B. Oh, guess what? B's working. Until they stop B, we're going to keep doing B. And yeah, it was nice to see in this game. You got some back-to-back. And then, like you said, some back-to-back to back-to-back. Like, they just... that's got to also suck if you're the defense. They just keep they just keep hitting you with this thing. And that was in the whatever game, I can't remember, where they ran duo a bunch. We heard someone from the defense talk about that. They were like, they just kept running duo at us. We couldn't stop it. Yeah, exactly. And like, that sucks. Like, it sucks to get run on like that, but especially with the same thing. And you're in the middle of the drive. Like, how do you change that? How do you adjust? Like, it's so hard on the fly. Yeah, man, that's just, you're in hell. Like, that sucks.
So we're going to get to the mid zone eventually, but early in the game, they had a nice little wrinkle here that we hadn't seen in a little bit. when it comes to, it's more of like a zone fold type block, but it's an RPO. All right. So they have a screen called essentially to Elijah Moore, and then they have a run called, various runs called, where they have 2 offensive linemen pulling. So it's a true RPO. They're actually reading the end man on line of scrimmage. So let's look at it from the end zone angle. So what the Bills like to do with this concept is run it to the guard bubble. All right. So you can see that bubble is over here, right here. All right. So this is where they're trying to target. And you're getting the thumbs up there because they got the look that they wanted. And so on this play, watch Torrance. He did great on this concept. You see him pin that guy down, seal him inside. And look how he gets his hands inside and then runs his feet vertically up the field. You get Dawkins pulling. You get McGovern pulling. McGovern inserts on the linebacker 44. Here comes Dawkins. And then just look at James Cook.
So silky.
How smooth and patient. And then gets skinny through that hole and is able to get 8 yards on that play. Well, what do you think happens on the very next play?
So works so twice. Works so nice. Let's do it twice.
Right. They call the same play. It's a little different presentation of the screen. The screen's off the left side instead of the right side here. But you're looking for that B gap bubble, that guard bubble. Well, guess what? It's right here. You're getting that thumbs up from McGovern. They want to run it. He calls out and identifies the mic and who they're working to. So now instead of running it to the right, they run it to the left. You're going to see the left guard, Edwards, pin down, seal that guy inside. McGovern is inserting again. Here comes Spencer Brown, and they're able to get 6 yards on the very next play. So spamming plays, Anthony. If they're working, keep running them on this, especially if we're talking within the same drive, because it is just so difficult to make adjustments, to make a stop. It's really putting the onus on the defenders to play above the scheme, especially if there's like tempo involved. It's putting it on the defenders to recognize, process, and play fast. And a lot of times you're stuck processing and you're getting 8 and 6 yard gains like this.
Yeah, especially when you're kind of, set. If you're the defense here, you're at a disadvantage from the start. You highlighted that B gap bubble. You've got Osiris Torrance's man who's in a 1 tech here, but even if it's, a 2I, but if it's a 2I, if it's a straight up 2, like that changes a little bit, but the angle is already favorable for Torrance to kind of seal off that 2I. And then you've got just hat on a hat with numbers, and you're also taking advantage of your personnel. McGovern can move a little bit, and we've talked about it so much with this team. Torrance and Edwards aren't these like great athletes who move, but you know who are really good athletes on the line? Spencer Brown and Deion Dawkins. So this ties in well to all their tackle pull stuff, and you just get a hat on a hat. And like you said, just really great job from Cook to get skinny. Good feet, good vision, good contact balance, which he showed in a multitude of ways in this game. And again, we get it set up. This time, the man to David Edwards, who's in the B gap, a little closer to being more of a shade, so a little more of a 1 instead of being a true 2I, but the angle is still present where all Edwards has to do is kind of wash him down. You combine that with the defender getting upfield, creates that matchup, and then we get McGovern and Brown pulling. We get the hat on a hat aspect.
Yeah.
And again, it's all based off of like the numbers and what you're reading and the adjustment based on the front that you're seeing. And that easily could have been a touchdown. Cook gets stopped, at the 1 or whatever, and then it ends up being a touchdown. And like that early on, I was like, oh, nice to see. And then we got to the mid-zone piece, and it was just like, oh, okay, we took
from here on out. It's mid-zone.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Okay, we got it. Yeah, we know the assignment. That's it.
Right. So here are 2, once again, back-to-back plays. Mid-zone run, mid-zone week. Those are in 13 personnel, 1 running back, 3 tight ends. And so they love to run it to the weak side. But with the caveat is they like to bend it back. And so they want to bend it back right here, as you see James Cook. But you see him just get up inside behind the offensive lineman, Brown, and he gets 7 yards. That's a very good gain there, right? A very good gain out of 13 personnel, mid-zone week, cut back, get north and south, churn out 7 yards. Well, on the very next play, the same personnel, the same motion. They brought Kincaid across in the same exact way. But on this play, the Jets do something a little different. They actually run a gap exchange or a run stunt. And so the nose tackle on the snap is slanting back. Because again, Bills are running zone to left to right on your screen. So they're all stepping that way. So they're, again, their version of like the run blitz that the Bills were running is this little run stunt. The tackle goes backside. That frees up the linebacker, Sherwood, to put him right in the hole to get James Cook, right? Wrong. You see James press the line of scrimmage, make that cutback beautifully against the grain, Torrance with his long arms is able to get enough of Sherwood, and then it's just James Cook playing above the scheme, breaking tackles, maintaining balance, finding daylight, and making a house call. This play right here by James Cook was our easy loan auto sales play of the game. He was our player of the game. He was our tapped in player on Turf the Tape. He was everything that the Bills paid for this offseason. And that's why this is the making it look easy loan auto sales play of the game. James Cook, 44-yard touchdown.
This is my favorite bit because it's always some play that's like ridiculous or like really hard. And we're like, man, look easy. Yeah, just even starting with like the blocking, that little like twist inside and McGovern taking 91. And like, look at Torrance immediately. Like him and Brown are on 96, but Torrance's eyes are already getting to Sherwood. He knows, he feels, and he sees what's going on with 91 and McGovern. And he knows, okay, like we're on this right now. I'm the one who has to come off this double. I'm picking up Sherwood. He does just enough. And then Brown, ironically, is kind of mirroring almost the exact same posture. They run both those guys by. Dawson Knox getting looks like he's trying to peek at Cook to see what's going on there, but he's getting grabbed by his face mask, but getting on the inside of 41 to cut him off and gum him up. And then you just get James Cook, who, like, this cut is nice. Like, to see it, read it, feel it. He's always been a good zone runner since his time at Georgia, puts his foot in the ground, gets north and south. Now we're getting upfield. Let's kind of see.
Look at the real quick caveat. Look, ball's in his left hand. Look at it. Then switch. He just like he has it covered up when he's making that cut. Because a lot of times when you're cutting against the grain, that this defender will put his left hand out and he'll just pluck the ball out and punch it out. And I think that happened. That did happen in this game.
I was gonna say it happened later in the game. He fumbled.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he's protecting amazing stuff, dude.
Yeah. 2 hands on the loaf of bread. He sees Quincy Williams, cuts back on him, gets his ankle picked a little bit, and now just is like, no, let me hop and turn out of it. It almost like this worked by design, like just with how he
kind of twisted him a little bit,
right, and kind of changes his momentum and center of gravity. And look at the foot, and he's planted, and then turns. He had really great contact balance on the 1-yard touchdown earlier in this game, and now you see the speed. Now you see the juice. He's pulling away from guys after being in essentially a stationary position. Just unreal. Like, that's just such a great play from Cook, but it ties into and folds into this idea of you've got these concepts that are working, lean into it. You've got the defense kind of on their heels, or you smell blood and you see it in the water, keep going until they fix it or put a Band-Aid on it or just completely heal it. And if not, you keep attacking them. And awesome back-to-back there that we showed there. And this one in particular, of course, the Easy Loan Auto Sales, making it look easy play of the game, sponsored, of course, by Easy Loan Auto Sales. And Easy Loan Auto Sales is Western New York's premier buy here, pay here car dealership with locations in Buffalo and Lockport. Regardless of your credit history, they offer the fastest car buying experience around. Get approved and reserve your vehicle all from your phone. Start your approval at easyloanauto.com, and you could be driving today.
Yeah, I mean, James Cook was definitely in the driver's seat in this game. They leaned on him. They leaned on the offensive line. Sometimes the offensive line was creating that displacement. Sometimes James Cook was just playing above the scheme, and just a remarkable play from him. But that wasn't the only time they ran that play, guys. Surprise, surprise, right? So early in the third quarter, the Bills sent out a different personnel. And look at the formation, man. They're like, you know what? You know what's coming. We're still going to run it. Gilliam's in, so they have 2 running backs and 2 tight ends in here, Jackson Hawes, Dawson Knox. And I feel like each and every week we're going to have a tight end segment.
Yeah,
and
man.
This is the start of it. This was, again, early third quarter, right out of half. Bills called the same exact run 4 times in a row. The 4th time, Quentin Williams blew it up for a 5-yard loss. But this is the first play.
But he got the first several by that double.
Right. So, again, pay attention to the defensive front, especially on the backside, because, again, they're running left, but they want to bend it back to the tight end side. And so look at that alignment there by the DN and the linebacker and the answers that the Bills have, especially at the tight end position, to really counteract the defensive front. So you're going to get Knox almost like inserting over the top of Hawes and then inserting into the gap. And then Hawes does a great job here. James Cook knows where those blocking tight ends are on this play. And on the very next play, same thing, same call. Slightly different alignment, linebacker off, just a little bit tighter alignment by the DN. They know what's coming. Well, here's Jackson Hawes and his blocking chops and how he's able to chop down that chop technique that I was told from Connor McGovern that the Bills tight ends adopted 2 years ago from actually David Edwards when he was the jumbo tight end. They adopted this technique, this chop and pullback. And then you see the lane that opens up. And again, Dawson Knox insert in there as well. Anthony, the tight ends are going to be their weapons already in 2 weeks. And, you know, they're helping James Cook in the run game get going, but they're also helping the pass game. Talk about the tight ends and how much fun their film has been to watch when we're talking run and pass.
It's been awesome. You know, even Kincaid blocking out on the perimeter against corners and mashing dudes. And then when you actually get into like the actual run fit and the box stuff, watching Hawes, who I think everybody's kind of understood his assignment since he came in, you know, the monster, what's the nickname? Killdozer, whatever that Joe DeRosa's always like talking about that he loves, like his mentality, the way he plays, he fits so well. And then you've got Knox, you know, you highlighted there, like the slingshot technique he uses. He's so much is always talked about and understandable, like the pass catching options for him, positively or negatively, right? He's athletic, he's fast, or, you know, he drops the ball. He doesn't make
cut stone hands. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And which is understandable, but we've talked about it a bunch. I think what's more notable is his progression as a run blocker year after year. He's become like a functional inline Y or a dude who can be hipped off. Hawes is also that. So now when you put these two guys like in line and attach to the formation or hipped off and winged like you have here, you still can kind of put run pass conflict because you can mash against a variety of body types, but you can also go play action and leak these guys out, especially Knox, who is more athletic and mobile in space. It just adds layers. And then you've got Kincaid, who we know what he is as a pass catcher, but now he's mashing corners on the outside, which changes the math or the thinking a little bit. If you're running these, you know, runs with the pass tags or these RPOs on the outside, and he's leading out front, it's just, it adds another layer, and it's been really, really fun to see. And it sometimes it's just easy like this. You know, you run mid zone, you bend it back because you know, and this is too like really lethal. Like this 4-man grouping to the right of McGovern, you've got Brown and Torrance,
dude.
Like, dude, like the only thing that would put this over the top for me is if it was like Torrance, Brown, Hawes, and Gilliam. Like that's the only thing that changes. Dude. But Knox in and of himself, his ability to insert here and win against nickels, safeties, linebackers, even some edges a little bit. And then Hawes here, like Hawes is going up against a McDonald who's an undersized edge. So this is actually advantage Hawes. But even if it's a bigger body defensive end or edge, he can hold his own as well. It just adds another matchup layer and level. And look at the easy displacement, like you said. Like Cook isn't even getting touched until he's already 4 or 5 yards past the line of scrimmage. Like that. This is
get your eyes on Brown on these plays. Get your eyes on Brown and Torrance. Look at Brown just turn and horizontally displace that guy.
Again, and that guy is Quinnen Williams, literally one of the best defensive tackles in all of football. He is an all-pro dude. And just look at that's so pretty.
It's beautiful, man.
It's so pretty.
I love, of course, Brown's blocking here. I also love just the fact that the tight ends have not just a schematic answer for the defensive front or the guy that's over them, but the technical stuff. All right. You have the little, like I said, a little insert, a little full block on that play that they create displacement for Cook. On the next one, you're going to see, again, the technical, breakdown when it comes to using that chop right there. That guy's got that inside lane, and he's putting his hands out. So he chops him down, pulls him through. That opens up the lane. Knox is getting up to the next level. Again, the technical answer there for the tight ends. And then on the last play, you're seeing, again, both of them. The slingshot, that's an offensive line technique. That guy's shooting across his face. It's hard for you to reach a guy that is slanting like that. Yes. So what do? You go backdoor, you slingshot him up the field and get behind him on the other side. Now you get the power and angle drive block by Hawes. Dude, the answers that they have with the personnel, with the technique, then the power from the guard and tackle when you're talking Torrance and Brown, man. It was fun to rewatch it from this angle. I must say, we've watched the game several times already this week. It was so much fun each and every time to watch these plays.
Yeah, and you hit something I wanted to highlight, but you nailed it. Like just the positioning of those defenders, if they're able to win inside, and crash down. And like look at Hawes. Hawes's man is lined up on his inside shoulder. Like there's an opportunity for him to get across. Knox's man is slanting already right across his face. You can't let those guys win inside like that. And you need to either feel it like Hawes does and have that drive angle block and keep pushing your man downfield or washing him, or like Knox does on this play with that slingshot and reestablish positioning and screw up and change the leverage of that man who's diving inside. And even on the previous play with McDonald against Hawes, he does the chop so he can get inside positioning. You have, it's why it's a big thing, like with scouting too. Like when you show guys or offensive linemen or tight ends who are able to not let someone get across their face or reach someone if they've got, because you've got defenders who have that inside positioning already, and you juxtapose with what we showed, on those zone adjustment runs, right? Where the blocks were set up advantageously for Torrance and Edwards because guys were already kicked inside. So all you have to do is really just step and turn, right? It's the opposite there for Hawes and Knox. You've got guys with inside positioning on you, and you need to make sure they don't win the inside. You've got to cross their face. They're not, you're trying to reach them. So it's technique, it's precision in your movements, it's some like explosion and agility. It's all those things. And then in the moment, it's feeling, okay, I win the inside position or I don't. How do I change that? How do I win that leverage? Because it can just take one guy to shoot inside and that run is null and void. And their ability to just do this consistently in a variety of ways, and we're going to insert, we're just all the variety of techniques. Huge shout out to Cromer. Huge shout out to Boris. I mean, they're always working on their hand technique and blocking, and it's so fun to have these three tight ends. And I'm still, you know what? And I'm going to take even further. Give me, I'm all on the right side. Give me Torrance to Brown to Hawes to Gilliam to Alec Anderson or whatever combo. I don't care. I just want all the big uglies on that side, and I just want to ground defenses into dust.
And to round out this week's tight end segment, I pulled some stats before we went live. The Bills have run 46 plays with either 2 or 3 tight ends on the field. That's 11th overall. Their throw EPA in those situations is ranked 11th. Their rush EPA is ranked 3rd. Success percentage is ranked 1st. Pass success, 2nd. Rush success, 4th. When you're talking about evolving and adapting to a new season, last year was the year of the extra offensive lineman. I think this is what the Bills are going to do a little bit more. And it's something we talked about. We expected, kind of, especially when Anderson was hurt, of, hey, now you could put Hawes in that spot, and he is freaking talented, dude. That was some amazing film in 2 weeks by Hawes. I'm blown away. All the talk about him from everyone and the compliments, they all ring true, because when you turn on the film, he's a difference maker, especially in the game against the Jets on the backside of those mid-zone runs.
Yes, and what the Bills had with Alec Anderson last year was, using that 6 offensive lineman as a tight end. It was the ability to mash guys against the run of all body types, because now you got big on big, so you're not at a body type disadvantage. And then also, if you go play action or pass the ball, you have the opportunity to go big on big again in pass protection instead of having a tight end against an edge or defensive end or whatever. Now with Hawes, you've still got some of that. Like you can use him in pass pro against an end or an edge. You can use him as a run blocker against an end or an edge, let alone a nickel or a corner or a safety. But he's got more passing upside and receiving upside. Although, like we've talked about, the Bills did miss the opportunity to leak Alec Anderson out last year on some play action. They should have taken advantage of that.
They owed him. They owed him, honestly.
They did owe him. We're just waiting for it. But now you still can put defenses and defenders into run-pass conflict, but the run piece is still up. Maybe it's not all the way up here. It's like slightly down to here, but the pass conflict is also it has been raised. So now the defense is still kind of screwed, and that's not even getting into the body types they have to pick and match with. It really, Adrian said it in the comment here. Hawes is the steal of the draft. He legitimately might be right now with how he's being used, and he's been used.
And where the league's going, the trends
of
the league. Last year, again, the Bills led with the extra offensive lineman stuff, but the more multiple tight end sets are coming back, and I think you're going to see that as the season goes on, that there's going to be a lot of that copycat stuff going on with multiple tight end looks.
And it was, that whole nature of condensed formations, bigger body types, right? And the Bills last year were like, okay, you know what? Like, here's Mac Hollins and Keon Coleman. And this year it's like, well, how do they replace the Matt Collins role? And it's like, we're going to go with more tight ends.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go with more dudes attached. Oh, so, last year we were doing a bunch of like, the kind of the trips look and duo because Matt Collins could do so many things out of the bunch as a blocker. Now we're going to do more mid-zone stuff. And we're going to put Hawes on the, the quote unquote backside as we run mid-side or mid-zone weak, but he's going to mash and Knox is going to mash and we could have Anderson do it. Like that's the next little layer. And it's so good. And it's so easy. It's so easy. If you have guys who can just people move up front, you can just call the same run play over and over again and just keep getting yards.
And it was important in this game because, again, yeah, maybe some of these multiple tight end formations, 12 personnel, 13 personnel, maybe the Bills kind of have a tendency. It's a tendency of the league. You're going to try to run the ball more. The Bills, when they have 2 to 3 tight ends, run the ball 73.9% of the time. That's 5th overall. Okay, there's a tendency built into that. But when teams know that, what are they doing? They're packing the box, especially when you're talking condensed formation. And what happened when
what happens then?
What happened? You got those single high looks. You got the one-on-ones outside. You ran play action. It controlled the pass rush of the Jets in that week 2 matchup. And so, yeah, there is a tendency built up. They only pass 26.1% of the time when there's 2 or 3 tight ends on the field. Cool. Well, guess what? A lot of those are one-on-one looks when they are passing, which is why they are ranked so high in success rate on passes in those situations at 66.7%. So I'm fine with it. Again, you can use those tendencies against defenses, and teams have to come up. They have to add guys into the box because of the line that the Bills have.
Yes.
Because of those tight ends we just broke down.
Yes.
And because of that running back behind Josh Allen and James Cook, it's deadly. They have to be a nightmare to prepare for and a nightmare to play against.
Because it's still in the back of your head. Like, you have to honor the run. You have to. If you sit in a too high look or you stay in true nickel, they're just going to mash you. And then if you're playing the personnel and you're playing the numbers, which NFL defenses legitimately do, they come into these matchups knowing, okay, guys, when they're in 12 or they're in 13 or they're in 22, they're running at 60-something%, 70%, whatever. And that's not just for the Bills. That's for every team. So eventually, well, not only does it leave like 30% roughly to pass the ball, but eventually you're going to flip that on its head and you're going to come into a game and open up with these heavy looks and you're going to put Dawson Knox across on that slide route and he's going to be wide open. Or you're going to take a shot to Palmer or Coleman on the outside because you've got more of a one-on-one. And it all just stacks and layers. And that's what Joe Brady has been so good on, or so good with, is the layering and the building, but knowing the vulnerabilities and how to use A to set up B and how to use B to then lead to C. And that's what this is all going with. On the surface, in a vacuum, bro, you can just mash and create space and displacement, and that's all good, but it'll lead to things further. And that's where more explosivity comes in. And that's where, like you said, it becomes a nightmare because now you have to worry about some explosives and some stuff in the pass. And if you are worried about that too much, they're going to run through your face. Yeah. And it's just like, what do you do, man?
Yeah, that was fun. That was a fun tape. That was a fun film breakdown, especially when you add in the coaches and what they kind of revealed in the pressers and then what the film revealed, the creativity on both sides of the ball. But at the same time, there was just, hey, I'm lining up. I'm running the same play multiple times. You can't stop it. You can't stop it. There was so much fun in this film. And again, it was also just the best because it was a comfortable win. There was not much stress outside of the first couple of drives. Like the first couple of drives, the Bills took over and they ran with it.
Yeah, my biggest concern was when it was Tal, I was like, oh, they got the field goal after the Bosa turnover. It's only 10-0. And then Allen's broken nose. I was like, oh, is it something else? Did the bone come through? Does he have to sit out? Mm-hmm. And then think of that too. Like maybe it was the game plan already, but in this game, your quarterback broke his nose. If anyone's ever, I've broken my nose 4 times. My last one was really bad and I played through it, but it affects your vision. You can't see. And seeing is very important to a quarterback.
Breathing.
Breathing, all of it. You're uncomfortable. If anybody remembers in the game, he had the gauze shoved in his left nostril to stop him from leaking. It just sucks. Like you're plugged up. Your whole face hurts. You can't see. You also don't want to take a hit because of how sensitive it is and what's going on. So it's nice to just be like, you know what? That's fine. Here comes 2 tight end sets and 3 tight end sets, and we're just going to mash. And you know what? we're not even going to do anything crazy. We're just going to call the same run plays over and over again in a variety of ways. And we're just going to keep mashing. And like, you have the MVP and one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and you don't have to use him. You run the ball. Like,
I know, it's crazy.
That's just, and then when you do have to unleash him, like in the fourth quarter against the Ravens, you can. And it's all just coming together. It's all just coming together. And the only thing that might be better than this game is this shirt. I love nerds, and this shirt is cool as hell.
Right. If you guys aren't an insider, get to cover1.football and sign up to be an insider. The shirt is ridiculous this year. It's cover one, obviously nerds, an ode to nerds. You got, the OnePass in there, the all 22 breakdown, salary cap stuff. Again, the official sponsor of 26 shirts. You guys know who they are. Del Reed and that team. And, we obviously love them and appreciate them partnering with us when it comes to anything, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
They tell us they want us to do something with them and partner with them. We're in. And so we appreciate them, doing this and creating this shirt for us this year. Each year, as an insider, you'll get a new shirt. You just got to sign up for that level on the website, and you get access to the Discord channel. All of the stuff you saw tonight, whether it comes to the video footage, the telestrator, us being live in this platform, on all platforms, all of that is paid for by our insiders and all of that support, all of our supporters. And so if you guys aren't insiders yet, get to the website, sign up for that to get, all the behind scene access, the Discord channel, and great things that come with that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that's tremendously important. All the forms of support. We say it every week, like all the forms of support you folks give us, whether it's the insiders, whether it's someone who gives a super chat, whether it's somebody watching this show, dropping a like, a rating, a review, a subscription, or just simple word of mouth, like, you like the Bills? Or, telling your cousin about, because they like the Bills too, telling them about the show, the brand, the channel, or other football fans, like, it doesn't matter if you like the Bills or not. Like, what they're breaking down schematically is something you need to know. Like, there's a variety of forms of support that we get from you folks, and we are so thankful for it and grateful for all of it in every way, form, shape, fashion, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, we appreciate you folks. Erik, started to lean into the outro a little bit, but before I complete the outro, any parting words, thoughts, anything for the folks? Put a bow on this game, looking towards Miami. It would be super Billsy to lose to this horrible Dolphins team after these first 2 weeks, but where's your head at right now as we say goodbye to the people?
I'll just say real quick, because I don't want to go much longer. Milano being out is a pretty big deal in my eyes. Him being out, when you look at how important he was to how the Bills typically shut down Tua in that first read and taking that away, usually Milano's right there doing it. So I'm kind of worried about that. On top of, obviously Dorian, he's come a long way, but he's not quite Milano in coverage and recognizing 2 and 3 man route concepts to take away that first read. So that does worry me. Ed Oliver is also out. So that is going to be something to keep an eye on, getting the ball to the edge in the run game, getting the ball on the outside in the passing game. That speed is going to be difficult to contain when Milano's not at that second level.
Yeah, I echo a lot of those sentiments. I think for as much as the Bills have obviously had success against the Dolphins and all the jokes of, Josh Allen's the Dolphins' father, like, ha, ha, ha. And Tua is terrible, ha, ha, ha. Mike McDaniel's a joke, ha, ha, ha. The Dolphins' offense has had a lot of success against the Bills' defense, especially running the football. And like you said, like, Milano has been a huge disruptor and deterrent for the Bills' defense. I worry about the motion and, the pass concepts and the flooding, and they can get into, like, just 4 strong concepts and how they'll change the numbers. They'll cause you to shift. They'll change the leverage and angles and kill you with it. And all it takes is the slightest screw up. If the ball's in Tyreek's hands, or more importantly, on the ground, Devon Achane is nasty, man. If you are
6 touchdowns against the Bills in like 4 games or something, I heard. Like, what?
As a pass catcher and as a runner, like, he is so lethal as soon as he touches the ball. If you are off in your angle or you're off in your fit, he will make you pay in a heartbeat. And yeah, I'm not overlooking Miami. I'm diving into Dolphins tape tonight. Short week. I hate Thursday games in general. Yeah, the Bills ones are even, it's harder to finish and get through all the tape and combine it all. But yeah, enjoy the Bills game tomorrow night, folks, on Thursday, September 18th. We hope you folks enjoyed this episode of the Film Room. As always, please rate, review, and subscribe. Whether you're listening on one of the audio platforms, watching here on YouTube, turn on notifications for this playlist. If you are on YouTube, word of mouth, as always, tell your family, friends, loved ones, football fans, Bills fans, whatever, about this show, about the brand, about the channel. That's how a lot of this got started and how we got to be where we are. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you are watching this here on Wednesday, September 17th, come back at 9 p.m. Eastern for Greg and Aaron doing Bills Dolphins preview. And yeah, that'll do it for us here in this episode of the Film Room. If you want some Joey Bosa only stuff, I did a huge focus on that in the defensive line last night in disguise coverage. So check that out. We hope you and your family and friends and loved ones are all doing well and staying safe. Be kind to one another. Take care of one another. For myself, Anthony Prohaska, for the godfather of Cover One, Eric Turner. We will see you when we see you. Godspeed. If you're going to the game tomorrow night, be safe, have fun. And as always, go Bills.